moments. Big Brother is watching you and probably twisting it all for political purposes. Yet Yellen continues to argue, you know, over $600, you guys submit everything.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. And Larry, you and I both had a lot of experience in Washington, in the White House. And, you know, the IRS is a normal bunch of people, and they are very
completely free to use. Learn more today at homelight.com.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go.
StrikeForce is a cybersecurity company with products that have unique security features. And with me is Mark Kay, the CEO of StrikeForce, and also George Weller, the Executive Vice President. So Mark, let's start with you. Your stock has been active lately. I saw it took a nice little jump. I mean, what do you attribute that to?
Well, the stock's been very active, mainly because of a major interview we did a week ago when we announced our new website, which looks fantastic, and it's out there now, and we'll be saying more about it. And also, you know, in terms of the Reggae, we said at that point that we should be closing it soon. Well, we should be closing it today.
Okay.
And if we don't close it today, we should be closing it tomorrow. But it's done. We're taking one more investment for the Reggae, and that's it. And then we're shutting it down, and we're not looking for any more investments from anybody, and that's a great thing for us.
Tell me about that Reggae investment. I mean, elaborate on that. If you could tell me how much it is, what do you plan to use it for?
Yeah. I can't tell you exactly how much it is right now because it isn't done yet.
Okay.
It'll be done today. But it's definitely a right amount of money that keeps us afloat for over a year or 2 years down the road. And therefore, we don't need any more investments. It keeps us alive. It allows us to pay for the marketing we're doing.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of great marketing that George will talk to you about, and it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
But it pays for the marketing, the analysts we have, the time we have, and it pays for the people. You know, we're not a large company. We don't want to be a large company. We have 10 employees right now, but we think we'll be doing very well, and the money will cover us extremely well. And the good news is that the Reggae will be shut down, and there's no new form of investment being done.
Okay, so George, let's bring you in. So he talked about the marketing and the website. Do you want to talk about the new website?
I'm really proud of this. We spent the last couple of months building a website that becomes not only a website about our products, but it's a resource center for all the industries that we cater to, which is the financial industry, the legal industry, education, manufacturing, you know, all of the government. So it basically becomes a resource center where they could go there, they could understand about the impact of cybersecurity events against them, the attack vectors, and then they also get to see the solutions and sign up to try any of our solutions that they'd like. We're just going and clicking a button. One of our folks will reach out to them and we'll immediately talk to them about a specific situation that they're encountering and talk about the technologies that they need to protect themselves.
Yeah, and I introduced us saying you have unique products with features. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? What are some of the products you have that people can't find with other cybersecurity companies?
That's probably the best question. Yeah. So StrikeForce, you know, we have 5 different cybersecurity products. Each of our products, they're either patented or they use our patented technologies. And what really sets us apart from all the other cybersecurity companies is we're the inventors of keystroke encryption. We have that embedded into all of our technologies. This way, no matter what you're doing, if you have malware on your computer, they're not going to steal your keystrokes as you type in. Our authentication system, we're also the inventor and patent holder of what we call out-of-band authentication, which utilizes 2 channels for authenticating. Most people know it as multi-factor authentication, right? Yes, it's multi-factor, but instead of sending all your data on one channel from the person to the server, our system separates that and sends it on 2 channels, and we don't give the hackers an opportunity to get to that second channel. And if they can't get to that channel, they can't log in as you. So that's key. And then the last component is our Safe Chat, and that's our secure video conferencing platform. And it's the only platform that we know of in existence that's built on 5 levels of cybersecurity. And inside, we authenticate every user all the time, so there's no more of these people barging in on your conferences and doing lewd things, saying inappropriate things. But more than that, the end user that's on the meeting creators that's on the video conferencing, we lock down their camera, their microphone, their speakers when people are talking. All companies using enterprises, SMBs that use video conferencing today, they have to now be aware of the data that's going back and forth across video conferencing, and we lock that data down. And like you said, unique, we're the only cybersecurity company in the world that built a video conferencing platform, and we have the only video conferencing platform that was built by a cybersecurity company. Okay. So that's what gives us that uniqueness that no other system out there, all the big names that people know, none of them protected data at the desktop like we do. So that's what
if you're having a meeting and you're discussing important financial or trade secrets or something like that, you need to have that protected.
Yeah,
and we're
absolutely.
going to be doing more of that,
think,
I feel like,
right?
in the future. I mean,
oh yeah, the industry is.
You would think.
Oh, absolutely. The industry is slated to grow. Right before the pandemic, video conferencing was at about a $2.5 billion industry, and expected to grow to about $5-6 billion by 2025. Since COVID came out, and now the new hybrid model is out there for remote workers, you know what they already repinned it on that?
100 billion.
Yeah, it's upwards of that. And they said,
I'm not surprised.
And they said that by the end of this decade, that 50% of the world's employees will be using video conferencing on a daily basis.
I believe it. Okay, thank you so much, Mark and George.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jane.
Is a company that's focusing on empowering people by owning and maybe even making money off their own data. So with me is the Chief Stratosphere Officer of Kylin, Dylan Dudney. Great to see you
Thank
in person.
you. Thank you very much. Great to see you too.
So much. So let's do an overview now that we're here of what Kylin is all about.
Yeah, so Kylin is essentially, it's like a data blockchain. And what we're trying to do is give anyone the ability, whether that's companies or whether that's individuals, to be empowered over the coordination, operationalization, and monetization of their own data. Okay, so what that means, just breaking it down to like a use case, is for example, and I think I've talked about this with you before. We've done it on Zoom in the past, and I'm really happy. By the way, I'm really happy to be here. It's really cool. I'm glad COVID has died down a little bit, and we're able to be in person. But one of the examples that I talk about a lot, which is a really exciting use case of this D-data world that Kylin imagines, is tokenizing your genome. And what that means is basically you could upload your genome, researchers could access it for a fee, and that could be a business model that is a decentralized business model, and it already exists right now. So companies like 23andMe are selling on the back end your genomic information to researchers for quite a lot of money. So I really love this idea, this use case, because what it does is it equalizes people's value on a global scale. So whether I'm in Botswana or whether I'm here in New York or Toronto or Beijing, my genomic data has like a base level of value that I could share. So I really think that And what Kylin does is essentially it sits as an infrastructure for that data to be shared between entities in a decentralized way, a trustless way, and that's what we're up to with Kylin.
Okay, so and you and I have talked about like our data is so out there, and so many companies are making money off of it. It does only seem fair that we should have a piece of that. And that's really what you're trying to make happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's going to be quick. So there's this saying like. It happens, it gradually and then all at once.
Yeah.
That was true for DeFi, right? Where, it was 2 or 3 years, people were even saying like, where's DeFi? What's happening with DeFi? And then we had the DeFi summer. It happened all at once. I really do believe in it. 2 or 3 years, this infrastructure is being laid down right now by companies like us and others to some extent, but I think we're one of the better ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm the most biased person going to talk to you, by the way, about Kylin. But I think that it's definitely going to be put back into the hands of individuals, this relationship with their data. And once those first stories start coming out about people having these personal capitalizations by using these systems, right, and these networks like Kylin Network, the pressure on decentralizing data silos or or having your data being something that you're not going to share and you're not going to give it out, and you're going to hook up with a decentralized data sharing network like Kylin. I think that pressure is going to be enormous, right? Because you're going to be, it's like as if people were giving out free hot dogs, yeah. and then you have your hot dogs and you're like, I'm not going to give up. This is worth something. Why would I just give it to everybody for free?
Right.
It's like, and that's the bargain that we've made in the internet we have had up till now, because it's a half-formed internet. There's no value transfer layer. Blockchain allows a value transfer layer to be operational.
Dylan, thank you so much.
A pleasure. Yeah, always a pleasure. Yeah.
Need hearing aids? Tired of paying $5,000 or more? Tired of making multiple trips to have your hearing aids adjusted? Now you don't have to. Our Hear IQ 4 medical grade hearing aids are fully rechargeable, Bluetooth compatible, and start at under $1,000 for a complete set or monthly payments of $44. Our hearing aids are self-adjusting using any smartphone and features remote programming by hearing care professionals without you ever leaving home. Order your pair today at myheariq.com.
HapBee makes the first wearable device that lets you choose your mood. And with me is the CEO, Jonas Stern, to explain how this, first of all, let's just see it, okay? So I'll hold it up, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in depth, but let's talk about the wellness market in general. How big is the wellness market?
The wellness market it's immense. It's almost $5 trillion, and it breaks down into a bunch of different categories. Wearables alone are almost $100 billion.
And they're becoming more popular. People are getting used to wearables.
You know, the thing about wearables, which is we find so compelling, is the vast majority, 95% of wearables on the market, are basically monitors, right? So you think about Whoop, and you think about Fitbit or Garmin or the Apple Watch. They're basically monitors that are giving you back feedback, biofeedback about how your body's doing, how many REM cycles you do, or what your heart rate is. They're precious few that actually do something for you. So this is just, most of the wearables are reading things. We're the other side of the coin, where we actually help you optimize your wellness.
Okay, so you have to tell me, how does this work? So I tried it, and we'll talk about that in a second. I put it around my neck, and wore for the hour that you're supposed to wear it. So how does it work?
So basically, and I'm not a scientist, but what I can explain to you basically is, Every compound that we ingest, think coffee, think nicotine, think CBD, every one of those compounds is made up of molecules. Every one of those molecules has a unique digital signature. That's what the scientists figured out. If you will, they sing a little song. And the song that they sing is received or heard by the bioreceptors in your cells. And I know that sounds really weird, but if I would have told you 5 years ago that you could charge a phone without plugging it in, would you have believed me? Or that you could broadcast a signal without wires? Your body works on signals exactly the same way. And when these compounds are present and they sing their little song to your brain or to cells in your body, they know it's present.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to tell you my story. So I had a long list of things to do on Sunday. I had to write a speech, I had to do a proposal, I had to get my work done for Monday. There was like 4 kind of big things I had to do. Very unmotivated. I was like, I'm just going to try. So I put it on. I did the email mastery because I knew we were doing the interview. And I got done with everything early. Okay, so I don't know like if this is a psychological thing or what, but I want to give it a few more tries. But
the number 1 use, so you just nailed the number 2 use for the product, which is focus.
Okay.
Focus and attention. If you think about the things that you would otherwise need to do to gain focus or attention, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, take a pill of some sort, all of those things are attached with all kinds of negative side effects. You don't want to be doing that to your body. You can just simply play the blend that gives you the same effect without any side effects. And that's the beauty of the product. The number 1 use of the product is sleep.
Sleep, okay.
60%,
well, I could use that too.
yeah, 60% of Americans can't sleep at night. They either can't fall asleep or they can't stay asleep. That was my problem. And the reason I got involved with the product and with the company is I tried it. And I slept like a baby.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to try that one too because there was creativity in the email mastery that I did, and the sleep, and like meditation, and there were quite a few different applications on there. How do you monetize this technology?
Well, it's kind of like a 2-step. We sell the device. So the device basically is a delivery mechanism for the blends. That's the content. And then we charge a subscription fee. If you want access, right now we've got 25 blends. Like you said, they're all lifestyle blends, relax, do work, be focused. And if you want access to all of them, there's a subscription. But 2 blends come bundled with the device.
And what is your sales strategy?
A variety of different distribution. We have a big direct-to-consumer strategy. To date, all of our growth, and again, extremely compelling for me coming in as the CEO, has been word of mouth. People who use the product come back to us and they tell their friends that it has effectively changed their lives. They're more focused, they're able to control their sleep patterns. We work with professional athletes, with entertainers, with people in business. They're our best salespeople. But as we look to scale the business, a comprehensive direct-to-consumer strategy, a strategy where we're going to be having the product fulfilled through third-party retail. And a lot of people are now starting to create blends of their own. Think Spotify for moods. They're starting to create blends on our platform, and they're bringing their followers to the platform.
Oh, interesting. Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much for coming in. I'll keep you up to date on my other experiences with it.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to New to the Street. This is your secure segment, the weekly hack with Elaine Guillai. I'm Anna Berry. Elaine is with GlobeX Data, the leader in Swiss-hosted private and secure communications and data management. So you guys might know that Cole Porter song, Love for Sale. Now it's data for sale, right, Elaine?
Absolutely. It is like Christmas is coming early for some people. Unfortunately for the bad guys, not the good guys. For all the mean little kids there, you know, you're going to have a good time because it was about 3.8 billion people's data that was stolen. It was taken out of Clubhouse and Facebook. So Clubhouse was an application. Again, all these applications are free. So when it's free, you are the product. And unfortunately, when the product has like a leak and it gets hacked, your entire life is basically now being sold. I think it's for $100,000. They're selling 3.8 billion people's data. And what's happening is, so first of all, these applications have no regard for your privacy or security. They just want to mine your data because eventually they actually sell it and they rent it. What they don't like, of course, is being hacked and have that data stolen, and now it's made public. So what's happening is the cyber hackers, today they have two choices. They either go and spend real effort to crack some of these corporate networks and all of that and try to steal our data, or even better, they just wait for a Christmas sale. In this case, probably more like Thanksgiving and Halloween. That's how scary it is. It's a Halloween scare. And basically for $100,000, they can have 3 billion people's data. And then they do what we call an ATO, which is an account takeover. What this means is that now they have your name, your phone number, your email. We'll get into that in a minute. Your credit card, where you live, your bank account, everything. And sometimes your social security number, which is a bit of a nightmare because then they really own your life and they can commit crime in your name. And they just go to town and they just steal whatever they can. They even resell that data. So unfortunately, you're always the victim and you have to change everything. You have to change your credit card, your password, and so forth. And there was actually an interesting thing this morning. I'm sure you know that Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, which belongs to Facebook, they have a whole outage worldwide. So it's, I think, intermittent, I'm not sure, but they had a big outage. And what does that tell you? These massive platforms with billions of people on it are not secure. We've been saying that forever. And your entire data is being mined, you know. So don't think that when you use WhatsApp and they tell you it's encrypted, it's not encrypted to a level that it's really protecting you. A 10-year-old can decrypt that. And basically all the communication, all the conversation, all the documents that you send on WhatsApp are now in the hands of hackers. So it's just a terrible thing. And I'd just like to say, you know, we have the carbon neutral and reduce the carbon footprint. I'm a big fan of the environment and protecting our planet Earth. I also like to say we should reduce our social media footprint. That way we have less chances of being a victim of such attacks.
It's such a great point. And even in our weekly conversations, it has brought a new sense of awareness to me, right? Being an active user on social media with email, and I'm much more cautious now. So talk to us, weave in how secure helps with this, because it's not just big companies that need to watch out. It's for the everyday people like myself who are actively on social media, actively putting my email in, not as much anymore. So how does Secure help with that?
So this is what we do. So Secure is hosted in Switzerland. So legally, we already obey some very strict data privacy laws, the strictest in the world. We do not use big tech platforms. We have our own. So we don't use Amazon Web Service. We don't use Google or Microsoft platform. I don't know what Facebook group uses. I think it's AWS, Amazon Web Service, just like Signal and Proton Mail and all these people. So we don't use any of those. We have our own. We've been around since 2007 in Switzerland. We have never suffered a successful hack. And we also do not use open source coding, which is basically 99% of the software out there. And that's why you see all these hacks.
So thank you so much for joining us again on New to the Street. We look forward to next week. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Anna.
Paypolitan platform will use blockchain technology, smart contracts, and open banking APIs to provide a next-gen billing solution that meets the needs of modern payment systems for businesses and customers. With me is CEO Nils Saran Ortiz. Nils, great to see you again.
Hello, Jane. Thank you for having me again.
So tell us more about Paypolitan for our audience who may not have seen some of the previous interviews.
Right. So in a nutshell, Paypolitan is a payment app. It's, I would say, half Apple Pay, half MetaMask. You can connect your existing wallets and do crypto payment that you can download for free from Apple and Google Play. And you simply connect your existing wallets or bank accounts. For the time being, you can use it for crypto payments. And by end of the year, we will also add the cash payments. So you can simply use your smartphone, but there is no credit card in our system. So it's only debiting your existing bank account or your existing wallet. And last but not least, let's say you want to buy a laptop that's $500. You say maybe that's a bit a lot just before Christmas, or right now, Black Monday, still want to keep some funds, and then you can purchase this with the instant credit, which we're implementing right now.
Yeah. So, and how many people do you have working for you now? I know you've got different offices globally. Had some pretty good growth lately, right?
That is correct. So we had tremendous growth. A year ago, we were 5 people at Paypolitan. And right now, a year later, we're 95 people working at Paypolitan already. So that is a very steep growth. And we're very proud as a startup. It's also creating some obstacles and challenges in terms of management. I have to say, so we are still a startup, but now we also have to structure certain procedures in order to manage so many people.
Yeah. So where are you now?
Right now, I'm here in Kiev at our premises. We have here with our IT team, we have 15 developers in Ukraine working for Paypolitan.
And then what about the sales team? So are they spread out? How are they doing?
We spoke in August. I was training the first 12 sales agents, and I was just back to Kosovo before last week, and I trained another 40 operators. So right now we have a team of over 50 agents in our sales team. They are distributing our app, of course, to users, and also selling the EPAN token to investors. So there also we have a very strong growth. Right, very interesting. Well, it's, as always, interesting times in this industry. So thank you so much, Nils, for coming, updating us, and giving us your perspective on what's going on in the cryptocurrency markets right now. Thank you very much, Jane, and glad to see you back on NASDAQ.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and look forward to having you here in the studio.
I go way beyond the headlines. I dig in very, very deep, and I'm looking for those kernels of information that often go unreported, but mean everything for the viewer. It's all about investing in your future, your American dream.
Fox Business, invested in you.
It's been a long time coming, seeming like we...
Isn't it time our eyes got the thanks they deserve? For taking on every daunting challenge. For finding some actual coffee on a coffee menu. For saying so much without a single word. And for helping us see that a smile from others can be the greatest pick-me-up. Yes, our eyes deserve a little gratitude. And now's the time to show it by enrolling in a VSP Vision Plan. Learn more at VSP.com.
Do you have a coffee smile? Drinking coffee causes yellow teeth for thousands of people just like you. And whitening toothpaste just doesn't make those stains go away. Introducing Power Swabs, the first teeth whitening system that lifts coffee stains off your teeth in less than 5 minutes.
I've smoked, I've drank coffee, I drink red wine, and using Power Swabs, it's made a difference. People ask me, what do you do to whiten your teeth? And I'm really proud to tell them that I use Power Swabs.
The Secret is a tooth detergent and whitening agent developed by Dr. Martin Ginniker. Power Swabs remove stains on natural teeth, veneers, bonding, caps, and crowns. The best part is you just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you'll have whiter teeth.
When I use these whitening strips, I noticed when I would drink, I would get this crazy sensitivity. It would go right to my brain, and I'm like, I hate this. With Power Swabs, there was zero sensitivity.
Try it now and get up to 40% off the regular price. Shipping is free, plus you'll receive a free Quick Stick pen.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darks there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future.
Actually happens to be based in Virginia. I find it curious that they issued a letter to the federal government, and within hours, within 48 hours, there was a response out of AG Merrick Garland, whose son-in-law, by the way, makes his living off of embedding critical race theory into our schools. So at the same time, the U.S. Attorney General is saying, I'm going to weaponize the Patriot Act and the whole of government approach against parents who speak up against this racist theory and embedding this ideology into not only the children's curriculum, but also compelled speech to teachers and their professional development. So there are a lot of teachers who are chilled because they don't want to be a part of this and they fear for their jobs. I hear from teachers every week. So you have 48 hours later a response from the federal government to the National School Board Association. That's almost impossible in government. I can tell you, as a former U.S. Department of Education official, a letter like that, a memo like that, takes an extraordinary amount of coordination across legal and other concerns.
Right.
So this looks like a highly coordinated effort to target parents that was going on well before that letter was first
getting
drafted.
back to the roots of what's going on here, you have these national organizations. You have the Teachers Union, you have the National School Boards Association. These national organizations have tremendous power within the federal government deciding what happens in local schools. Instead of school boards and schools themselves being a reflection of the local communities, they're a reflection of the most radical elements, nationally speaking. You have a national takeover of local schools.
Yeah, you certainly look like you have a federal task force with law enforcement coordinating with state attorneys general and local law enforcement to investigate parents who show up. We have a right to go to a school board meeting and speak. You know, I noticed that the word angry is always used, which is a negative word. Why isn't it passionately? Why isn't it fervently on behalf of our children? If you don't want critical race theory, if you don't want children to be taught that by their skin color they're either an oppressor or oppressed, if you don't want porn in your children's schools, you know, porn for kids is bad. If you go and say that, the federal government is going to weaponize a task force to come and investigate us instead of, if there's an actual event that actually happens that is actual violence or a clear threat of violence, you know, that's what the local law enforcement is for. But that isn't what's happening. This is all being ginned up to target parents because school boards don't want to be accountable. They closed schools for well over a year and didn't focus on delivering education to children. They canceled summer schools for special education students. They spent their time advocating for CARES Act money and ESSER's money to get more federal funds, $189 million in Fairfax's case, so that they could spend it on things like renaming schools and teacher professional development that's compelled. But none of it was focused on the children. So
I have to run.
Local control is necessary.
But I have to ask ask you, I don't suspect that you're going to be thrown off by these attempts to intimidate you with these, even if it's the FBI and the Attorney General of the United States. You and your cohorts are not going to back off. So how do you actually get local school boards, not only in Virginia, but around the nation, who object to this extraordinary radicalization of local schools from the top down, which is exactly the opposite of what our founders foresaw and what has led to our success as a nation? How do you get back control of these local school boards from the radicals?
Well, certainly, my message is that to America, you have to take back your local school boards. That is our number one motive of any parent, of any taxpayer, even if you don't have children in school. Your money goes to that local school system. And so you've got to pay attention to where that money goes. Pay attention to who's elected, get yourself elected, and demand that your local school board rebuff this NSBA and DOJ overreach by AG Merrick Garland targeting us as domestic terrorists. Parents are not domestic terrorists. We have the right to be the primary stakeholders in our children, regardless of what the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, said, that we were just important.
It's not only a slander, it's a reflection of a move towards something that you'd expect in the old East Germany with the Stasi, where the secret police would use local officials who are party members in order to target individuals who are dissidents. I mean, this is not at all the sort of thing that you would expect to see in a democracy like ours. Elizabeth, best of luck to you. Thank you for coming in today. I'm much appreciated.
Thank you. Fight this Marxism in our schools. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. Well, more on the current state of our country's education system. Here now is Darla Rumfo. She is president of the Children's Scholarship Fund, which has provided scholarships worth $885 million to 185,000 deserving children and their families. Darla, great to see you. We have to talk about money. First of all, how much money these organizations have just received from these COVID funded, because a lot of the $181 billion that went through for K through 12 education through the last COVID bill, and Lord knows how many more billions of dollars, is going directly or indirectly to the unions, to organizations like the one we just mentioned, to organizations from the top that have a very clear agenda for the schools at the bottom. How do you fight that?
Well, I always think back to one thing that Teddy Forsman, who started the Children's Scholarship Fund, said to me. He said, if you get the first things wrong, everything else falls apart. And in this case, we've gotten the first things wrong and everything is falling apart. And the first thing, which your previous guest mentioned, is that parents are the first educators of their children. And you have to take power back, empower parents, put the money in the hands of the parents. That's happening across the country. Even as all these negative things are happening, 18 states have adopted or expanded school choice programs. The number of kids that are eligible for school choice, which means that parents have control over the funding, not the school districts. Right. And by the way, the schools that these parents elect to go to cost a third of what it's costing. And all this money that the federal government put in, a lot of it's not going to be spent for 2 or 3 years out. It's not for COVID relief even. It's hard to understand what is happening, but clearly we've gotten off track and lost sight of who is really the person who should be empowered and who's best able to decide. John Walton always said to parents too, you are the heroes here. You are the ones that need to be empowered to make decisions for your children. And yet, it works. When that happens, it actually works.
Darla, we are hearing exactly the opposite from a lot of politicians, a lot of Democrats. And Terry McAuliffe, who's been governor of Virginia in the past, wants to be governor again. He was naked with his power push at a couple of weeks ago at a debate. Let me play that and get your reaction. Roll tape.
And I'm not going to let parents come into schools and actually take books out and make their own decision. I stopped the bill that I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
I don't think parents should be making their own decisions. How could he say something like that? I mean, this is extraordinary. This is pure totalitarianism.
It is, and even the Supreme Court has said children are not creatures of the state. And to say this, that he feels emboldened and brave enough to say this is kind of shocking. But the one good thing, and I've talked about this before with you, is that last year the curtain was pulled back. Parents saw what their kids were learning. People want to believe the best about their institutions, and especially about their public schools where they entrust their kids every day. But when you hear and see this, you realize I have to do something. And certainly the guest you had before I came on, she is a parent. She's doing something. Every parent who's listening, you need to take charge of your child's education. And if it takes sacrifice, 11% of parents are homeschooling this year because they may not be able to afford tuition at a private school, but they know their public school's not doing the job. They don't want their kids indoctrinated. They're taking charge. And you still have the power to do that in this country, and I would encourage every parent to do that.
Well, you should have more power,
Darla.
And we'll talk just a moment on school choice, because we in New York spend $30,000 per student. We spend $30,000 of taxpayer money on every student that's educated in New York. If you had $30,000, if I had $30,000, I'm sure I could do a far better job at educating at half that price my own kid. Luckily,
they're a third that price.
Well, but the point is, how do you get school choice? Give parents a voucher in order and let them use that money at the school of their choice. Wouldn't that solve all these problems?
It would solve 95% of these problems. It's not going to make everything perfect immediately, but I can tell you that when you empower parents, we're operating a program in New Hampshire right now. We went from helping 200 kids in 2015 to now they've passed something called education freedom accounts, and those are accounts where the state's going to take the money they spend on a child's education, put it into an account for certain expenditures, and the parent gets to spend it. Now we're going to be helping 2,000 kids. It's exponential what can happen, and that has a capacity to grow. And yes, that's what needs to happen, because parents, I'll say it again and again and again with every breath in my body, parents are the first educators of their children. They should be empowered to make decisions for their children's education. Government should respect them. School boards should have meetings all day long to listen to what every parent has to say, if that's what it takes to hear them, because they're elected and they should be held accountable.
Absolutely. Well, that's the plan. That's been the plan of local school control since the beginning. That's the secret sauce of our democracy, if you will, and we're losing that secret sauce. Darla Rumfo, you certainly are not. The Children's Scholarship Fund certainly is doing great work in trying to change all this. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. So, do progressive politicians really believe that money just grows on trees? Well, coming up, we've got proof that's exactly what they believe.
Can we keep printing money and say, well, 3.5 trillion, why not 4 trillion? Because you can probably find uses for that money as well.
So yes, we can.
This isn't just freight. These aren't just shipments. They're promises. Big promises, small promises, cuddly shaped promises. Each with a time and a place they've been promised to be. And the people of Old Dominion never turn away a promise, or overpromise, or make an empty promise. We keep them. A promise is everything to Old Dominion, because it means everything to you.
There are beautiful ideas that remain in the dark. But with our new multi-cloud experience, you have the flexibility you need to unveil them to the world.
Now it's your chance to invest like I do in companies that make things like this jetpack, this hard seltzer, and this electric motorbike. It's all on Start Engine, which has an investor community of over 500,000 and has funded innovative startups. Go to startengine.com today and start investing. Sorry, got a jet.
3 meetings and 3 stops today. There's just never enough time.
If you've ever considered flying private jets, you have to check out OneFlight's badge. The badge makes searching and booking private jets as simple as booking a hotel. Just type in your location and find the closest airport. Then choose from over 4,000 jets in one place. When I land, there's always a car waiting for me, courtesy of OneFlight. What's your time worth? Badges.
Shingles?
Yeah. 1 out of 3 people get shingles in their lifetime.
Well, that leaves 2 out of 3 people who don't. I don't know anybody who's had it.
Your uncle had shingles.
You mean that nasty red rash?
And Donna next door had it for weeks.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Actually, shingles can be prevented.
Shingles can be what?
Prevented. You can get vaccinated.
Baby, call the doctor.
Hey, you can also get it from your pharmacist.
50 years or older? Get vaccinated for shingles now.
Critical Wall Street moves, big Washington headlines, and how it all impacts your wallet. She's got you covered. Elizabeth McDonald has the insight you need weeknights on The Evening Edit.
Spectrum Business is the only internet and phone provider built for the new way you do business. We know fast internet speeds and low prices are critical for small businesses, and slow speeds from the other guys can't handle your new digital needs. Now's the time to switch to Spectrum Business. You'll get more speed and proven reliability, and you'll never have to sign a contract. $49.99 for 200 megabit per second internet and $19.99 for business phone. Call now to get 1 month free. So stop overpaying for internet and voice today. You could cut your bill in half when you switch to Spectrum Business, and we'll prove it. Grab your bill, visit spectrum.com/business calculator, and see exactly how much you'll save when you switch. Or give us a call, and we'll calculate your savings for you. Plus, you'll get fast speeds and over 99.9% network reliability. $49.99 for 200 megabit per second internet and $19.99 for business phone. Get 1 month free when you call 855-282-8483 and make the switch to Spectrum Business.
Americans paying more for just about everything, and now new data revealing inflation is rising at the fastest pace in over a decade. Let's go to Edward Lawrence, reporting live from the White House. Hi, Edward.
Hey, David. Yeah, in fact, this is the 4th month in a row that the inflation, the CPI index, has been over 5%. It's 5.4% year over the past 12 months. The energy prices are actually leading the way on this one. Look at all gasoline increasing 42.1%, with the price of fuel oil up 42.6%, both year over year. But when you break down what we buy at the grocery store, you really feel the pinch. Year over year, meat, poultry, fish, eggs up 10.5%. Non-alcoholic beverages up 3.7%. Fruit and vegetables up 3%. Cereal and baked products up 2.7%. The White House trying to put a positive spin. Listen.
I would note that we've seen a decrease over the course of time, and that is still evident if you look month to month over with the data that came out this morning. So between the second quarter and third quarter of this year, monthly inflation increases have actually decelerated by 50%.
But when you look at food prices month over month, that actually has increased. Now, this all plays into the supply chain because that's one of the items that's raising the inflation cost here. The White House here touting all of the work that they've done behind the scenes. Today, the president announcing that he brokered an agreement with unions that have the Port of Los Angeles to run 24/7 to offload. In addition, the president getting pledges from 6 large companies to offer 24/7 shipping on that last mile. UPS, FedEx, Walmart, Target, Samsung, Home Depot, all of them agreeing to ramp up.
If federal support is needed, I will direct all appropriate action. And if the private sector doesn't step up, we're going to call them out and ask them to act. Because our goal is not only to get through this immediate bottleneck, but to address the long-standing weaknesses in our transportation supply chain that this pandemic has exposed.
But no timetable yet as to when those supply chain kinks will be worked out, or an answer to will that going 24/7 and the investment that needs to be made, will that cause more inflation as the price is passed on?
Right,
back to you.
Right. Edward, thank you very much. Well, here now is Russ Vought, former OMB director. He is also president of the Center for Renewing America. Russ, it's extraordinary when you hear claims from the administration spokesman saying that that inflation is decelerating. Everybody knows it's increasing, or at the very least, leveling out at an unacceptable level, which is much higher than what people are paid for, than the increase in wages. It's more than just supply chains. It's about monetizing the debt. It's about spending money you don't have, and therefore the Federal Reserve has to come in and buy up 60% of all the debt issued by the Treasury, and they print all this money to do that, and that's what's causing inflation. No,